Issue number 2 of Watchmen asks us the haunting question, what happens when the heroes we admire are just as flawed as we are? Hey everyone, Jake here with the Brave and the Boys.
And Jordan with the Brave and the Boys.
And today we are doing our follow-up on Watchmen, reviewing it issue by issue. Let's dive in. Up first, you're going to start the book out with a funeral for the comedian who died in issue 1, kicking everything off. And this book is about to get deep, layered, and not really a linear timeline, which is what, we think we have in store for us. Yeah. So we're going to get a flashback of how the comedian who is being buried impacted each member of the characters in this book. So start me off.
Sure. So we begin our story with Lori going to visit her mother, Sally, who was the original Silk Spectre. And when Sally asks Lori why is she here, she kind of assumes that it's because she doesn't want to attend the funeral. Now, we will see a flashback of Sally's back to the Minutemen days and that interaction from the photo we saw in the first issue.
Yes, and one of the big things you're going to see is that when you get different time periods or flashbacks, they almost change the coloring up a little bit. So when she's reminiscing this dark interaction Sally had with the comedian, the colors are very vibrant, like she's almost nostalgic about the past. Mm-hmm. After that, you're going to get a memory of Ozymandias flashing back to a meeting he had when they were trying to form the new team known as the Crime Busters. And let's just say the comedian wasn't a team player. It was kind of fiery. As Jordan says, the map didn't deserve it.
It really didn't, but...
Yeah, and then from there, we're going to see Dr. Manhattan's flashback, where he was in Vietnam, and they actually won Vietnam. And yes, Jordan bought a t-shirt for it.
That's right.
And you know what? We're not going to have 12 different Watchmen shirts each. There's only like 3 Watchmen shirts on the internet, and I think we already own all of them. After that, we're going to get Dan Dreiber, or Night Owl's flashback with the comedian, and they're like, just it contrasts the way that they're different superheroes. So Dan is kind of more of a chill dude, and the comedian is much more violent to the mob that they're trying to quell. So people are protesting because the Keene Act, which is going to make superheroes outlawed, is, being voted on soon, and the comedian just shoots them all with like a beanbag gun. Yeah. So there's that famous moment where you see the spray paint of Who Watches the Watchmen, which is where the book gets its title. Mm-hmm. So what happens after that?
Sure. So after all of that being said, we do see at the funeral that there is a redhead at the very front holding the sign. What is it?
It's the end is nigh.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now we see him watching this guy that had placed some flowers on the comedian's grave, and we don't know who this person is. They're very mysterious. But after all of that, we do see a cut to
Rorschach out of nowhere just tackling that guy in his apartment and like throwing him in his fridge, and turns out he's an ex-supervillain known as Moloch. He's kind of got elf-like ears, and he's like, why were you at the comedian? You guys were enemies for years or whatever. And the Moloch goes, dude, I don't know what happened. A few nights ago, the comedian broke in drunk and just sobbed in front of me, going like, I've done horrible things and horrible things are on the horizon, and it like freaked me out. But like after I found out he died, I felt like I had to go to his funeral. Yeah. So we don't know what's going on, and then it ends with him just going back there and getting a flower for his lapel.
Yeah, I mean, basically that's where our issue ends. I mean, after the entire thing, grabs a flower, which is a very vibrant red flower, and that should probably be stated that red seems to be the main theme of this issue, especially during the funeral times when it's mostly a grayish tone. The red pops, and I feel like John Higgins did that intentionally.
And the ending of the issue is a flashback to the comedian getting brutally murdered, and the color tone is very red. So now that we got the story recap out of the way, Jordan, tell me your review on it. What did you think of the story of this issue based on the writing and then based on the art?
I mean, story-wise, they kind of gave us what we wanted after we had read issue 1, right? We didn't really know who these characters were or why we should care.
And if you haven't watched that video, watch it here.
Or there.
I don't remember what it is.
But yeah, it gave us the exposition dump that we needed, which makes sense.
So this is the flashback issue, and you're going to realize the comedian, someone who's supposed to be a superhero, is a really messed up guy. And this parallels a lot with America as a whole. America is supposed to be the shining example of a great country, and we did horrible things in other states, and it just shows you that there's kind of a death of the American dream, which I think the comedian's death is supposed to symbolize the death of the American dream in this issue. And as Jordan said, when we did our first issue, we wanted more understanding of why we should care about these characters. And you get to see that this book, the relationship between the characters is incredibly complex and multi-layered, and they just slowly peel the onion layers off one by one, and it's a really twisted story.
It really is. And I mean, I think watching the comedian's life through these flashbacks and interactions with these different heroes sums it all up at the very end, where he's recollecting very drunkenly at Mullock's place. And we see him saying how he's done these horrible, messed up things throughout his entire life. But what he's seen, what's coming, is even worse than that.
Yeah. So now you know that there's an even bigger mystery afoot, and this is one of the first issues where we start to get a sight at how big the scope is of what's coming. I thought the art was just as good as issue 1. The use of color was even better than the first issue. So the John Higgins doesn't get enough credit. He deserves all the love and all the accolades and all the flowers, just like the flowers on the comedian's grave.
Got that.
And then you're going to get further context. So something we didn't touch on in the first issue is at the end of each issue, there's supplemental reading through the use of Hollis Mason's book, Under the Hood. In this one, it's going to touch on how the Minutemen formed and also how members of the team broke away. And the whole point of this issue is to show you that these aren't heroes you're used to reading about in DC or Marvel Comics. These are messed up individuals like in the real world. And it really just gives you that real world feel. So Jordan, tell me, if you're going to review just this issue by itself, 1 out of 10, what are you giving it?
I mean, seeing how this is doing exactly what I needed after issue 1, it's filling me in on this universe, diversifying it, and I'm learning so much more about it. Last time I gave it a 9 out of 10 for 1. I think this one I gotta give a 10 out of 10.
So you like this issue better than the first one?
Oh my goodness. I mean, there's iconic scenes in the first one that you can't beat, but yeah, exposition-wise, story-wise, art and color, this hit every aspect that I wanted. What about you, Jake?
If I'm rating Watchmen based on a clock, with 12 being midnight, I'm going to give it 2 minutes to midnight out of 12 minutes.
What does that mean?
It's the Doomsday Clock. It's 2 minutes to midnight. It's a whole thing. Clocks are a big part of Watchmen. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And we want to thank you all for supporting our channel. We've made 2 of these. We're going to make 12 of these videos.
Oh, we got 10 more of these?
10 more, yeah. But you've been clamoring for Jordan to be on camera and me to be on camera less, so we're giving you half of what you want. So we're going to remind you, the Discord is linked down below. We're a bunch of nerds. Some of us are comic book experts, some of us are comic book newbies, but it's a great place to ask questions. We're trying to get a book club started. It's awesome. We also have a Patreon. Join the free tier because all of our announcements go through there. There is a paid tier, but you know what? We're fine. Just join the free tier. I dare you.
You might be fine.
Yes. And okay, there's a paid tier, $3, less than the issue of Watchmen costed when it came out, maybe. Actually, I don't know what Watchmen cost when it came out.
$1?
Okay, moving on from that, like, comment, and subscribe. Smash that like button, comment down below what book we should review issue by issue next, and keep reading and stay brave.